programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nos programmes offrent plusieurs langues. Veuillez visiter suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Nuestros programas ofrecen varios idiomas. Visite suprememastertv.com/schedule.
Наши программы предлагают много языков. Пожалуйста, посмотрите suprememastertv.com/schedule.
As he was working with her, he was thinking about how hypocritical it is for him to give this calf so much love and so much care, and then in 2 years he would just have to send her to the butcher shop and slaughter her.
Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, From Slaughter to Sanctuary, Part 1 of 3. Continue watching to find out more.
Gutalskardik means God loves you in Swedish. I'm Honey. The people of Sweden, thank you for choosing a vegan diet to help protect the environment and our animal friends. Welcome to part 1 of our 3-part series, The Canadian Beef Farmer Who Turned His Cattle Ranch into an Animal Sanctuary. On today's program, we travel to Uxbridge, Ontario, Canada, to visit Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, an animal sanctuary co-founded in 2016 by Michael Lanigan and Edith Barabash. For many years, Mr. Lanigan had been a full-time farmer, earning his income by growing organic vegetables and raising beef cattle for slaughter. Although he did not like having his animals butchered, he did not know what else he could do. However, 2 events made Mike deeply question the ethics of his livelihood and inspired him to create an animal sanctuary for his cows. The first event was the birth of a calf named Hope. Edith explains.
Mike was thinking about it for a while. It wasn't just a completely overnight decision, but the thing that really kind of pushed him over the edge was when one of our calves was born. Her name now is Hope, and she was born in the summer of 2016, very prematurely, and she was very weak, and Mike had to work with her day in and out to make sure that she just survives and she gets the mother's milk and everything. And as he was working with her, he was thinking about how hypocritical it is for him to give this calf so much love and so much care, and then in 2 years he would just have to send her to the butcher shop and slaughter her. And he thought that it was a really odd and hypocritical way to make a living for himself personally.
The second event that profoundly affected Mike was when his 4-year-old son, Nathan, decided to stop eating beef. Edith shares this story.
So his son Nathan is so compassionate and he's so sweet. From what I remember, his son just one day asked, where the beef comes from, and Mike and his wife told him, it's from the cows. And his son asked, is it from our cows, like the ones that we take care of? And Mike said, yeah. And then he refused to eat it after that. So I think children have such an innate connection with animals. And it's hard for them to eat animals once they put a face to it. I think with everybody, really, once they put a face to the animals that they eat, it changes things a lot. I think it made the whole family really step back and think about it. And of course, Mike eventually realized that himself too.
These 2 events, the birth of Hope and Nathan's refusal to eat beef, caused Mike to have serious doubts. Why was he killing the cows that he loved? Was there something else he could do? He shared his concerns with Edith.
And that's when he started having these doubts, and he came to talk to me about it. I had already been vegan and been engaged in animal rights for a few years before this happened. And when Mike was telling me that he was having these second thoughts about slaughtering the animals, I thought it would be such a great opportunity to make this about something bigger than just us, to create something that's educational and that would inspire people. So, I mean, we have the land, the animals are here, we're able to rescue them, and we thought it would just be such a great opportunity to do something.
After much discussion, Mike and Edith decided to found an animal sanctuary where the cows could live out the remainder of their lives in peace. But how would they manage financially? Not only would Mike lose the income from selling the cows, but it would be expensive to continuously feed and care for them. How could they survive?
It's very difficult because the animals eat between 1 to 2 big hay bales a day. It costs us well over $100 a day to feed them, and that's not including, maintaining our infrastructure and veterinary costs and all of the other things associated with running a sanctuary. I didn't really know what I was getting into at the beginning. It was really all such a learning experience for me. But it was really daunting to think, well, we're obviously not profiting off of the animals. So Mike still runs his vegetable garden, and that's how he makes his money. And it's completely separate from the sanctuary. He makes his living off of the farm at the farmer's market, and then we fundraise separately in order to help feed the animals. So it's now 2 separate operations, and fundraising for them is always a challenge because it costs a lot to run an animal sanctuary, but we have amazing supporters and a really creative volunteer team. So we've been able to do it so far. There's Farmhouse Garden Organics, which is the vegetable garden, and what we did was register Farmhouse Garden Animal Home as a nonprofit animal rescue. So that way it's 2 separate entities. It's all done properly as a nonprofit versus a business.
We'll pause for a moment now to thank the Divine for all the amazing people around the world who operate or contribute to Animal Sanctuary. We'll be back after this important message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back to our program. After creating an animal sanctuary for his cows, Mike began to earn his living entirely from his organic market garden. Edith next explains what crops he grows.
Basically anything that'll grow in Ontario. There's root crops, beets, parsnips, carrots. There's leafy greens, so a lot of lettuce, kale, spinach. Mike's spinach is famous in our community because it's so delicious. Yeah, basically any vegetable that'll grow here, Mike will grow it. And it's such a great mixed farm, and Mike puts so much care into making sure that it's environmentally friendly, that it's sustainable, all organic, and something he really cares about is making sure that it's good for the ecosystem as well. He really cared about the health of his customers as well. He wanted to make sure that the products that he's bringing to people are of the highest standard in terms of health and also environmental sustainability. So Mike's been selling at the same farmer's market for I think over 30 years now, and he has such wonderful, supportive clients who are always there and always want to support small farmers and organic agriculture. So I think it's going well for him. Now because of COVID-19, he's had to downsize a little bit. It's been really difficult for farmers markets because of all the restrictions on them. So it's been a bit of an off year, but for the most part, we have really, really great customers that come to the market every single week.
At Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, an enthusiastic team of volunteers help Edith run the sanctuary's basic operations, while Mike carefully tends to the needs of the animals.
We have volunteer days, so twice a week we'll have volunteers come to make sure that all the animals have a nice bed to sleep on. They'll refill everyone's, like the ducks have water for swimming that they'll refill. they'll check on things to see what needs repair or maintenance. So the volunteers have their chores, and then Mike daily does his rounds to make sure everybody has food and water and is comfortable, and also does the crop or the pasture rotation, right? So the cows will move around from pasture to pasture in order to avoid ruining the grass, because if the cows are in one spot for a long time, it'll completely destroy the ground there. So it has to be really carefully thought out exactly where they are, and he has to run the fencing, and it's a lot of work.
Now that he no longer sells his cows for slaughter, we asked Edith what the financial impact has been for Mike and how he feels about his decision.
Mike was making more money off of the operation before, but he realized that part of transitioning to a farm sanctuary would be kind of taking that hit financially, and he was ready. He was okay with doing that if it meant saving the animals and making sure that he wasn't having that moral dilemma anymore. I can't say that it's more profitable now than it was before, but ethically he knows that he's doing the right thing.
Many thanks, Edith and Mike, for your courageous, noble decision. May heaven bless you abundantly for your compassionate work. For more information on Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, please visit farmhousegardenanimalhome.com. Welcome to part 2 of our 3-part series, Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, From Slaughter to Sanctuary. Farmhouse Garden Animal Home is an animal sanctuary in Uxbridge, Ontario, Canada, co-founded in 2016 by Michael Lanigan and Edith Barabash. In part 1 of this series, we learned how long-time beef farmer Mike Lanigan and his employee Edith Barabash turned Mike's cattle operation into an animal sanctuary. On today's program, we'll learn more about Farmhouse Garden Animal Home. For more than a decade, Edith has been a dedicated vegan. She explains some benefits of the plant-based lifestyle, including its much more efficient use of land.
In terms of land use, the amount of land, and you could see here at the farm, the amount of land that it takes to raise the animals, it's quite an inefficient way to produce food for people, because there's 28 cows at the sanctuary and there's so many acres of land used. And of course we love the animals, we're so happy they're here and that they're safe, but if you're really trying to feed people off of meat, that's not an efficient way to do it, because all of that land could be used for growing crops. Also in terms of greenhouse gases, cows are probably the top producer of methane. There's so much manure that they produce, and we see that and we deal with that firsthand. So in terms of the environmental impact, raising animals, especially cows, are probably the most environmentally destructive. In terms of health benefits, it's been shown so many times that a well-balanced plant-based diet can be really great for people's health. Having been vegan for about 11 years now, my blood work is great, my health is great. It's very doable for people to have a healthy plant-based diet and to thrive off of it, and that's what matters, right? If we don't have to eat animals and cause animal suffering, then there really is no reason to do it. I think once you do become vegan, seeing animals and interacting with animals becomes a bit of a different experience, because there isn't any of that guilt associated with it, and you don't have to live with that cognitive dissonance, and you're morally aligned with your beliefs. And everybody loves animals, everybody wants animals to be happy and safe and cared for, and all you're doing is taking that moral belief and really living it.
In many countries, including Canada, the government subsidizes the meat and dairy industries. We asked Edith what might happen if the subsidies for meat and dairy were stopped, and this money was given instead to support organic fruit and vegetable farmers?
Well, I think that would be a huge part of, first of all, solving a health crisis that we're facing, because when you're subsidizing foods that are bad for people, like the cheapest foods available are the ones that are causing the most health impacts. So little changes are being made, like we saw with the Canadian Food Guide, how dairy was taken off, and we see less of an emphasis on meat and more on plant protein, which is really great and shows that steps are being taken. But unfortunately, the subsidies are still a big issue. There's a great movement called Nation Rising. They specifically are working towards ending these subsidies, or they're kind of pushing the government to move away from these subsidies and instead subsidize healthy plant-based foods.
We'll take a moment now to thank the farmers who work diligently growing organic fruits, vegetables and grains to feed the world. We'll be back after this message. Please stay tuned to Supreme Master Television. Welcome back as we continue visiting Farmhouse Garden Animal Home. The mission of the sanctuary is to provide a safe home for the animals in their care, as well as to show others that farm animals deserve love and compassion. When Edith and Mike first transitioned from beef farming to running a sanctuary, they wondered about the best way to accomplish the change.
So when we first became a sanctuary, for me it was all about how many animals can we save, how many can we rescue. And then I quickly realized that's not really an efficient way of making change, because you're never going to save all the animals that need to be saved, right? There are so many animals in need, and it was so emotionally taxing and just difficult to constantly turn animals away and tell people that like we have limited capacity. And then I realized, well, we can make this about more than just the animals at the sanctuary. We can focus on education and bringing people face to face with the animals. And there have been so many people who have come here and met the animals and then told me, oh, it's really changed my outlook on like the food I eat and the lifestyle I live. And so I think we've really pushed education, and we have a humane education program geared towards younger kids to teach them about caring for the environment and loving animals from a young age. So it's been really cool playing around with that, and I think that's what's most effective is connecting people with the animals that they would otherwise see as food.
Farmhouse Garden Animal Home Sanctuary offers tours for many groups, providing guests with precious opportunities to interact directly with their animals.
In past years, we've had almost every month just tours open for everybody. So we've had parents come with kids, we've had older people come out. There's really no age group that it's specifically geared towards, but we always try to have things here for everybody to do, and people could feed the animals and learn what everybody's names are. So they really connect with the animals in that way. And then this year we've been doing a lot of just like private tours or virtual tours. So back when we were still locked down, we would do tours with people online so that they can still virtually be here and still meet all the animals, but it's in a safe way.
Through their courageous example of transitioning from operating a beef farm to running an animal sanctuary, Mike and Edith hope to inspire others to follow in their footsteps.
I think showing people that someone like a cattle rancher who has been in the business of selling meat for so many years, if somebody like that can make a change and can follow their intuition, then really anybody can. So that's been the main takeaway for me, and it's been really inspiring for me to see Mike make this transition, because I think of all the things that he's given up and all the backlash that he's faced, whether it's from the community or family. So I think that's a great way of inspiring people, is showing them that anybody can make a change.
We asked Edith what advice she would like to share with other farmers around the world. who want to change their livelihoods from raising and slaughtering livestock to growing organic fruits and vegetables.
First of all, it's not an easy transition to make, and that's why what I always recommend is if people are having second thought, if somebody's a beef farmer, transition into growing vegetables and kind of like phase out their operation. Converting to an animal sanctuary is a lot of work. You need a whole community to really be backing you up, and it's not something that's always practical for everybody. There are some really great programs out there where people are actually working to help farmers move from animal agriculture to plant agriculture. So Mercy for Animals, it has something called the Transformation Project that they're working on. There's a sanctuary in Texas called Rowdy Girl Sanctuary that have something called the Rancher Advocacy Program. So there are programs out there for farmers who are having second thoughts and want to make a change. And I would point them in that direction and have them talk to people who are willing to back them up and want to help them. We got wonderful, immediate support from the animal rights community, which was really what helped us get started, because we started off with no funds and so many animals to take care of right away. So having so many animal lovers come to volunteer with us and donate and join our events was huge and really pushed us forward.
Many thanks, Edith and Mike, for your noble, compassionate example, which will inspire other farmers to follow in your footsteps. May you and your precious animal friends enjoy long, happy lives with blessings from the divine. For more information on Farmhouse Garden Animal Home, please visit farmhousegardenanimalhome.com. Gentle viewers, thank you for your company today. Please join us again on Monday, December 14, for the concluding episode in this series. Wishing you continued spiritual upliftment in a compassionate, peaceful, vegan world.
Our programs offer many languages. Please visit suprememastertv.com/schedule and suprememastertv.com/PE.